Was the dark of the moon on the 6th of June in a Kenworth pulling logs. Sounds like a hilarious Urban Dictionary definition you haven't learned yet. But they're just the first lines in a song called Convoy. That's sort of a metaphor for the new L6, a flashlight from Convoy, which is a Kenworth-sized flashlight. And you're like, I'm about to lay the hammer down if I hear another truck driving joke in a flashlight review. Alright, Smokey, 10-4. So before the L6, I owned a little old Convoy called the S6, which has been a fine budget everyday carry light for years. But now I got this great big Convoy to join my other Convoy, the little S6. But yeah, Convoy makes lights of every size. And before I go over everything else, let's get into setting this thing on the scales and just see how big it is. The L6 is a rocket sled on rails of a flashlight that puts out over 3,000 lumens with a neutral, white Cree XHP70 emitter. The light operates off of two 26650 lithium-ion cells. It has a big old orange peel reflector that smooths out the beam pattern and gives the light throw and flood. It's murdered out with a nice matte hard anodization, probably a Type 3, it doesn't say, and a coated glass lens. You're like, a big ass flashlight's got to have a lot of accessories. Yeah, a tactical ring and a tactical brown box. It has 4 brightness modes and 1 strobe. You'll see my figures on screen, which I tested using my DIY device. First is the low mode at 22 lumens. I'd say I wish it was lower, but you'd call me an idiot because it's a big ass flashlight. Medium is about 168 lumens. High is about 1,307 lumens. And finally, turbo is about 3,278 lumens, rated at 70,011 candela, for a rated throw of 529 meters. Now those are meters according to the FL1 standard, and doesn't mean you get a nice bright beam that you can see illuminate something 529 meters away clearly. I may do a video on those standards in the future, but right now Google ANSI/FL1 standards and see how throw is measured. It's a good tool to compare lights, but it's not necessarily a good tool for real world throw. The user interface is simple. The flashlight has 2 buttons. The power button is on the tail cap, and the button to change modes is on the side. The light has mode memory, so it remembers the last mode you were on before you turned it off. Press the tail cap to turn on the light. Then press the mode button to scroll through all 4 modes, from low to high and then back again. To enter strobe mode, double click the mode switch when the light is on. Press it again to exit strobe. Strobe is the only mode not saved into mode memory. You're like, damn it. The cool thing is you do have momentary on because of the tail cap switch, so you can spell out bad words to other seamen or do SOS even though the light doesn't have it built in, or create your own fun strobe. Alright, so let's all hang out because we got to run time test to make. First, this light is picky with cell length. I use 2 quote protected Thorfire, which measure to be about 66.78 millimeters each. Since this light uses 2 lithium-ion batteries in series, it's best to use protected cells to be safe. The thing is, these cells are not protected, they're labeled incorrectly. But the light does have low voltage protection. The battery label is incorrect on the batteries, but I'll link some good protected cells in the video description that you can use instead of these. Unless you're an advanced flashlight pro and know the dangers of running down batteries past their safe voltage, and understand that just because a light has built-in protection for its series configuration of 2 lithium-ion cells or more, it's no guarantee that one cell isn't dangerously low or one is being overcharged and you don't know it. So basically do as I say and not as I do. It's always best to run any light with a series battery configuration with protected cells. Only a few very specific lengths of protected cells can work in this light. Otherwise, you won't be able to tighten the tail cap, so be careful when you buy protected cells. On turbo, the light starts out and does a nice slow decline over the next hour and 30 minutes. Again, I tested the light to start out at 3200 lumens. The cells I used aren't protected. Protected cells tend to cut power at some point when the voltage drops low enough. Lithium-ion batteries, when used in series like this, should be matched. That means bought at the same time and the exact same type of battery. Next is high. High runs nice and long. It starts out at about 1307 lumens and just slowly declines over the total runtime. Runtime goes on about 4 hours and 55 minutes before freak out strobe hits which is sort of the low voltage protection in this light. Remember, that's the flashlight's way of saying, hey, idiot, replace my batteries. You should have like 20 minutes ago. At this point, the light has already been considerably dimmer than when it started, so you should have done that a while ago. Now the beam shots. Here's a quick comparison that shows just how big this light is compared to the other ones in the beam shot section. First up, the Convoy L6. It's bright and throwy enough and has a nice neutral tint. Then there's the Nitecore TM16GT, which has more lumens and over 3 times the throw, but it's also twice or 3 times the price depending on where you get it compared to the Convoy. The tint is nicer on the Convoy in my opinion. I don't like cool tints that much. Then there's the Skyray King that has about $40 of custom modifications and parts, including warm tinted emitters. It's not as bright or throwy as the Convoy and costs more in total. Then the ultra throwy but not as bright Acebeam T20, which looks like it's going to burn a hole through the trees. It's also a more expensive light than the Convoy and has a tiny hotspot. Then the Acebeam K40M, probably the most comparable in throw and lumens to the Convoy. There was a lot of moisture in the air that night, but if you look at the foreground and hotspot and ignore the beam going through the center, the Convoy has a larger hotspot and more foreground is being lit. The Convoy is still a cheaper light. Then there's the Noctigon Meteor, a much brighter light than them all, but the second least throwy after the Skyray King. And finally, how about a 1000 lumen light with not a lot of throw? A Sunwayman that also costs more than the Convoy. Yes, these lights all have a common theme. They all cost more than the Convoy. The Convoy is equal or better quality than all of the other lights, but it's cheaper. Anyway, what else to say? The light is big and bright, and if you don't mind its size, then it's a no-brainer purchase if you need a lot of lumens. It's extremely well built, and you'll be hard-pressed to find something that puts out this much light at this quality for this price. If you need a lot of lumens and you don't want to buy crap, buy this one. It's waterproof to IPX8 standards, so it should have no problem dealing with the elements if you're out in them. Also, no visible PWM on any of the output modes. If you like this video, subscribe to my channel, watch all my other videos, all of them. Leave comments, questions, concerns, and give my video a thumbs up if you like it. The light was provided by GearBest for review. Thanks for watching. Advanced Flashlight Bros.